So Kimi Antonelli might have already regarded himself as a future world champion, and here's why. So at the start of the Australian Grand Prix, Kimi Antonelli had an okay practice 1, 2 and 3, didn't do too badly compared to his teammate George Russell. However, then in qualifying he went on to damage his floor on the car, and because he damaged his floor, he was apparently, according to Ted Kravitz, he was losing himself about 3/10 down per straight, and down Australia, to lose that much time down per straight is very costly, and no wonder why he exited in Q1. Australia is a track with the most DRS straights out of any other circuit on the calendar, having 4. So that also really wouldn't have helped Kimi Antonelli at all. And because of this, I was thinking, oh no, maybe the pressure's got to him, maybe he's not quite the driver many people thought he could be. But then I remembered, look, it's his first ever F1 race weekend in a top car, the pressure's going to be on him, so we'll let him off. And then I was like, if he doesn't have a good race on the Sunday, then, you know what, fair enough. As long as he doesn't crash it, then I think he's done a decent job. But then how wrong could I be? He didn't just have an okay race in Australia. He had probably the best rookie race anyone's ever seen in the sport's history. So I think Kimi Antonelli started 16th at the Australian Grand Prix. It could have been even lower, but 16th was definitely the highest position he would have been starting. And he went all the way to P4. And he pulled off some of the most amazing overtakes during the race. He went round the outside of someone around turn 9 and turn 10. And compared to all the other rookies, Kimi Antonelli, for me, was the most impressive. Bortoleto was quite impressive in qualifying. He knocked out Nico Hülkenberg in Q1. However, then in the race he went on to crash. But apparently that was a problem with the Kick-Sauber car, but I'm not too sure about that. So there's one rookie he's already outshined during the weekend. The next rookie he outshined was Ollie Bearman. Ollie Bearman, for me, had a really poor weekend, considering how well he did when he stepped into races last season. He crashed the car in FP1 and he crashed it that badly that it was too damaged for him to compete in FP2. So then you're like, okay, he's still got FP3 to get used to the circuit and the car. And then what is he going to do in FP3? He crashes it again. And then to make things worse for Ollie Bearman, in qualifying he had a gearbox issue and was not able to compete and obviously started last on the grid. In the race, Ollie Bearman did better. He didn't crash, but I don't think he got points. And so far, what I've seen from Ollie Bearman, he doesn't seem to be a great wet weather driver, which you need to be World Championship material, in my opinion. Look at some of the other world champions. Lewis Hamilton, one of the best ever wet drivers. Look at Max Verstappen. People say he is the best wet weather driver we've ever seen in F1. Ayrton Senna, another one. Remember Donington in 1994 when he went from 4th to 1st on the grid in just 1 lap. And then for Kimi Antonelli to go from P16 to P4 in your first ever wet race in F1 is absolutely impressive. Not many other drivers could have done what Kimi Antonelli did that weekend. I mean, could you really see experienced drivers like maybe Lance Stroll going from P16 to P4 on the grid? No, you probably couldn't. Lance Stroll's a rubbish driver, but still, he's experienced and he wouldn't have been able to do that. Could someone better than Lance Stroll, who's also experienced, maybe Alex Albon, could he probably do that? I honestly don't think so. Alex Albon's a really good driver, but I don't think he's capable of going from P16 to P4, even in the top car. That could be really controversial, and I'm prepared to get hate for that in the comments, but that's just what I think. We saw in F2 last season during Spa, Kimi Antonelli was absolutely insane in the wet. And I'll say it again, to be a really good F1 driver and to be World Championship material, you need to be a really good wet weather driver to be able to win championships, because you're going to have wet races during the season. So another rookie he outshined was Isack Hadjar. Now, up until the race, I thought Isack Hadjar was really impressive. He wasn't that far off Tsunoda and he was doing quite good. He got into Q2. He probably could have got into Q3 if it wasn't for Lewis Hamilton spinning at the end of Q2, which really did compromise his lap time. So it's like, you know what, fair enough. Hadjar seems to be quite a good driver, and I still think he is, but he crashed out on a formation lap. And in a previous video, I slated Lance Stroll for crashing out on formation laps around Brazil last season. And I said no F1 driver should ever be crashing out during a formation lap. Whether that's if you're an experienced driver or an inexperienced driver, it should never happen. And Hadjar did, so he's got to get the same hate, otherwise that wouldn't be fair. I mean, at least last season, Lance Stroll made 2 corners in the formation lap before he crashed out and went into the gravel. And to be fair, Lance Stroll did it in a bit of a more embarrassing way. He spun out, he didn't hit a wall, and he drove through the gravel and got the car stuck. But I'll say it again, crashing out on a formation lap is just not good enough. And then I move on to Liam Lawson. Now, I made a video about Liam Lawson yesterday, so I won't go too much into him, but he had a really poor weekend. The Red Bull's a better car than the Mercedes, right? Liam Lawson wasn't able to find his way through the field like Kimi Antonelli did. Liam Lawson was just stuck at the back, but Kimi Antonelli still found a way to get through the field. Liam Lawson really should have been able to do that, especially considering, in my opinion, the Red Bull looks to be a better car than the Mercedes. However, he didn't, and that was just really poor and disappointing. So out of all the other rookies, Kimi Antonelli was definitely the most impressive during Australia. Which moves me on to my next point. Australia was a track Kimi Antonelli's got no experience on. However, he was still able to really impress. So just imagine what he'll be able to do on more tracks where he has got experience. For example, most of the European circuits where F2 raced last season, Kimi Antonelli will know them tracks like the back of his hand. And for some people watching this who will be like, why does it matter what track he's on? Surely F1's equal. Well, no, because you've got to think about braking points, where to get on the throttle, where's a low traction zone, where's a high traction zone, and all of that is down to muscle memory. However, if you've got no experience on that track, you're not going to have that muscle memory, so you'll already be at a disadvantage compared to other drivers. So around the European tracks later on in the season, then I'm expecting Kimi Antonelli to be even better than he was in Australia, because he'll have that muscle memory around the track. And finally, I think Kimi Antonelli's definitely made Toto Wolff a really, really happy man. Obviously, we all know Toto took a massive risk taking on Kimi Antonelli this season. We've had loads of people asking the question, is Kimi Antonelli even ready for F1? Because he wasn't that impressive during F2 last season. However, neither was Ollie Behrman, but he still got high praise. And to be fair, I think the lack of pace from Kimi Antonelli and Ollie Behrman in F2 last season was more down to the Prema team rather than the drivers themselves. I genuinely think after what I've seen in Australia this season, Kimi Antonelli's race pace looks really, really strong, and you never know, he could win a race this season. It wouldn't surprise me. I have said in previous videos, don't be expecting Kimi Antonelli to do amazing things this season. However, after what I saw in Australia, it's just got me really excited to see what Kimi Antonelli can do. And I think a few more performances from what we've seen in Australia, if he can improve his qualifying performance, which he definitely will, because as long as he doesn't damage his floor, he should be fine. Then I feel like we're just going to get more and more people saying he could be a future world champion, which I think at the moment, and I would definitely go on to agree with them people. To replace Lewis Hamilton at Mercedes, that's really, really big shoes to fill, and for a young driver to be the one to do it, makes it even harder. Even an experienced driver coming in, maybe even like, say now if Pierre Gasly went into Mercedes, he'd be under just as much pressure to perform at that Mercedes car, just like Kimi Antonelli is now. And so far, it doesn't look like that pressure is getting to Kimi Antonelli. Anyway, I've been rambling on for a bit too long now for how long I wanted this video to be, so let me know your thoughts on Kimi Antonelli down in the comments. Do you think he will be a future world champion like I do? Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel for more F1 content, and I'll see you all in the next one.